Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you guys know, this is where we interview people that are just flat out crushing it in this business. And we show you the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success, not just in their businesses, but also in their lives. And it's really have a special treat today because someone I really enjoy in our Warrior program, have a long relationship with. So I'm very excited about today's interview. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's also the director of our massive action team for our Warrior Mentorship group, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's up, brother? You've been busy, man.
Yeah, I know. We've been crazy busy. It's brought on tons of probably record new amount of warriors here recently. I know everybody's excited about, the market crash, etc. Holidays coming up as well. But just as a reminder to the listeners, don't be that person that says, I'm going to do it after the holidays and January 1st, right? If you want to do something and you're listening to this podcast, go out and do something today. So just a reminder.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I will be redoing my goal setting workshop on New Year's Day this year as well. And you can find the new one. The old one's still there on rodslinks.com. It's professionally done. And if you haven't done your goals in a while, definitely should let me guide you through that. It's professionally done. You should be doing your goals at least a couple times a year. How do you get what you want if you don't know what it is, right? So, all right, well, let's get to our awesome guest today. Her name is Jennifer Barner, and she's the founder of Lighthouse Ventures. And I can't remember when you joined the Warrior program, Jennifer, but I know she's in over 700 doors as of today because you have a closing today, which is just freaking unbelievable. And I know you're a limited partner in over 500 doors as well, but very excited to have you here.
Oh, this is really a dream in the making. The first time I heard you on a podcast, I had been searching for the next step in my real estate career. And I figured there's got to be a bigger, better, faster way than single family. And I found you and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Tony Robbins in multifamily. I mean, I felt like I found the holy grail. And I just was so excited that I said, one day I am going to meet you. And then you offered a coaching program. Mm-hmm. And I was one of that first members in your group. Mm. And so it's such an honor to be here today.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you tell your journey because I just heard it, at the Warrior event, and you did a really nice job on stage for that. And I'm excited to hear you tell my audience here. You mentioned Tony Robbins. A lot of people don't know. I actually spent 20 years following him around the planet, and I was on his team for a good bit and learned a lot about. He's the best in the world, obviously, at motivational mindset content, and I just loved it so much that I kept paying to go to his events for years and years because I just love being around that energy. So it's really funny. I don't talk about that much, but he's one of my greatest mentors for sure. So why don't you take a minute and give us a little background on you? Because I know, initially you struggled a little bit and maybe you can speak to all that because I think it'll really help my listeners.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I was coming from single family. I had been in it for a year. And then when Home Depot, when I left one day and I was leaving the store, they said, bye, Jennifer. And I was like, whoa, Home Depot knows me by name. What is wrong with this? And I thought, okay, there's got to be a different way. So, when you offered out, the opportunity to coach with you, I jumped on it. I thought, the biggest leaps I've ever had in my life have been through hiring mentors and coaches. Mm-hmm. And so I just knew that whatever I needed to do, I needed to be closely aligned with you because I knew you had already had so much success. So, I was part of the Warrior program for a good year and a half, doing a lot of underwriting. And unfortunately, I just couldn't make the numbers work. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until COVID, when everybody else was putting on the brakes, that I said, it's go time. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get this deal done. And I had to leave my own backyard to find the deal where it worked, where the numbers worked. But I got that deal done. And it's been one deal after another ever since then.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I know you've aligned with other warriors and you've got an incredible team of warriors that you're working with, some of my favorites. And So that's awesome. Now I know that you had some, you stuck with single family longer than you anticipated. Was it because of the inability to have a deal make sense? And, there was a lot of that, and we were all kissing a lot of frogs, but was that it? Was there any mental blocks, anything else going on that you're willing to share?
No, I had started a meetup group like you had suggested in my own area, and I had pivoted, and I was telling all the different real estate groups that I was attending that, hey, I'm going into multifamily. And I think a part of it may have been a little bit of ego that I needed to get a deal done here. I had spread the word so much to even the Warriors, and people in the Warrior program even said, hey, when you find a deal in Kansas City, let me know. We love that area. Mm-hmm. So I just dug my heels in so deep that I think I just got too entrenched and became too immobile and really not open to investing outside of Kansas City. Yeah, no, that's very common. That actually was a big struggle for me as well. I had the thought of not having control and having my hands on every day, being able to drive by and kick the tires. It was a real mental shift. And it is for a lot of people, especially people that have been successful in the single family space like you have. You've done like 34 flips or rehabs, or 43 rehabs, and you've got rentals in the single family space still in Kansas City. And for me, again, that also was very hard. And I want to circle back to one other thing you said. Guys, we live in the greatest time on earth to create reach. Like Jennifer is starting a podcast. So, she hasn't firmed up the name yet, but if you search Jennifer Barner in iTunes, make sure you check that out in a month or two. She'll have that up and running. And, so that's one way, like I've done it. She's going to do, and she started with meetup groups. I mean, you can absolutely do that, even if it's just a handful of people. Before social media, everybody started with meetup groups. I mean, people that have thousands of doors now. If you listen to my early podcast episodes, before social was really anything, everybody was doing, creating reach through meetups. But now you've got TikTok, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, and there's so many different ways that you can do this. And in fact, I just created a course on crushing it in social media. If you want to check that out, it's on my Rod Khleif website. You can go to Rod's links and check that out. But, there's so many ways that you can create reach now that were unheard of before. So I just want to flag that because, you need to be able to do that, to find deals, to build relationships, and to raise money. So, I just wanted to mention that before we moved on. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to touch on one thing because I hear this so often with people. You said it took you a year and a half, which for a lot of people that would feel really, really long, right? But then you did a bunch of deals after that. What did change? You were kind of starting to go into it there. Did you just start looking into other markets? Did you partner with other people? What changed that helped you get that first deal and then kind of open the floodgates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rod has always said that, you invest in your backyard or places you like to travel. Well, for me, I had two boys down at the University of Arkansas that were going to school. And if you know anything about Northwest Arkansas, you know that Walmart is headquartered there. And you got J.B. Hunt and Tyson and a lot of big, there so much growth has happened over the last 3 to 5 years in that vicinity that that area has just mushroomed. And so I knew by, driving down there regularly that there were signs of growth and that I needed to be there. Just because my kids weren't going to be there forever didn't mean that there wasn't investing opportunities. So and the other thing is I kept hearing to other people's stories, and they kept alluding to the fact that they weren't investing in their backyard. So it just made me realize the definition of insanity is continuing to bang your head, and think that you're going to get different results. And the reality is I just need to pivot. Other people were having success in different markets, and I could do the same thing. So I just needed to pivot, and that's what I did.
No, that's fantastic. And just to clarify, so what I teach at my boot camps is 4 areas to consider first. Obviously, the first is your backyard, if the backyard makes sense. And I consider the backyard a 2-hour drive in any direction because you can manage it through day travel. But then option 2 would be a place you have spent some time. Like for me, it would be Denver, maybe a place you grew up, place you went to school, something like that. So that's option 2. Option 3 is a place you have boots on the ground. In your case, Jennifer, that was Arkansas with your kids, and that's really helpful. So, people kind of, if they live there or they're spending spending time there, they know what's happening there. They're, they have their ear to the ground. They know what businesses are moving in, moving out. And if you need something locally done, then you've got someone you can call on. So that's the third option. And then the fourth option, like you said, is a place you enjoy traveling. So you combine two with that Arkansas response. And so, you enjoy traveling, might even want to retire. So those are the four options to consider first, guys. And then if none of those apply, just don't go from California to Boston or vice versa. There's enough low-hanging fruit closer to you to take action on. So, I know you've aligned with some other warriors in the group. And what role are you, because, this is a team sport and people wear different hats. What hats are you wearing in your team?
Yeah, so I really lean heavily on the fact that I have flipped so many homes that I know construction costs.
Yeah.
So, anytime we're getting quotes, because obviously when you go into an asset, you have a business strategy that you've already shared with your investors and that you plan to implement. And so when we're going out there getting quotes, I feel like that's an area where I really have input and can add value to my team is by saying, I think that's a bit high based on my experience in flipping homes and materials and, labor, what I'm paying, that's an area where I can really come in and help.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. Finding deals. Obviously I found the very first deal that we ever did. But there's other areas where other people excel at that more than me. So for me, I really shine, I feel like, in asset management and helping implement the business plan.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So you've got that construction background just by by you doing it yourself, not even a formal background, but that's the best background for that. Now, if if you're listening and you've got maybe project management experience or any management experience, frankly, you could be well suited for the asset management component, construction for sure. And if you're good with managing systems and sequencing things and so on and so forth. So that's one hat. Another hat is, going out and building broker relationships and finding deals. So that's a hat. If you've got some good, good communication skills. If you're super analytical and you love spreadsheets, then you could be, the underwriting component of a team. Maybe you like, like talking to people. You could be doing investor relations and bringing money. So lots of different hats you can wear in this business, and you should not, anticipate you're going to do them all because it's a team sport. And, if you're playing to your strengths, and you're good at one of these aspects, and you find people, you hire, align, or partner for people that are strong in these other areas, success is just a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen because when you're playing in your strengths, you're happy about it, you're passionate. And when you're passionate, you have the ability to influence people. So that's why this business is so exciting for so many different types of people.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to touch on, right? Because a lot of people come in with no single family, no multifamily experience, right? And they always ask the question, well, how do I get started if I don't have experience? Finding deals is obviously something that anybody can do if you have no experience. I know you just mentioned you found your first deal. What sorts of advice would you give to those people that maybe don't have experience? Maybe they want to be deal finders. Where would you recommend they start, or just any general advice you'd give to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you've got to start with, where's your target market? Identify that first, and like Rod said, identify 4 different areas and then really figure out who are the brokers in the area. Get to know more than just one person in the local office, because the reality is they're all working their own deals, right? And things will come to maybe one person that the other person doesn't even know about. And you may be on the phone with them. And if you don't know everybody in the office, you might be losing out on opportunities. So I would encourage you to really get to know every person in the office as much as you can. I know that it's been very challenging over the last few years to even get them to respond to you, right? Because they haven't had to. But I think the winds have turned.
Oh, that's totally changed. I've gotten more emails from brokers in the last 3 months than I've gotten in the last 3 years. So no, those winds have definitely shifted. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think finding deals is probably the best place for a new person that's trying to break into real estate. I think, and having that just calling them regularly, getting to know them as a person, ask them what their challenges are right now. And, just talk at a human level, sometimes you got to leave the business stuff out of it and just get to know them and their family. Make that connection to where they want to call you. You want to be the very first person that's on their list when they get an opportunity.
Sure. And if you're listening and that sounds painful to you because you're massively introverted, I would suggest that you do it anyway, because you do need to build your relationship skills and your communication skills, and and have 5 seconds of courage to make those initial phone calls and just ask questions and start a relationship and a friendship. But again, ultimately, if that's you and you're that introverted analytical person, focus on your strength and start evaluating deals, bring them in. But you do have to, that is the one caveat to this team sport. Even if you are introverted, you're going to have to build relationships. And so you're going to have to step outside comfort a little bit. My wife is horribly introverted. And, like when we go to a boot camp or an event, she comes and she's gracious and loving and beautiful as long as she can stand. But then she has to go and be by herself to recharge, and she'll go in her closet. That's her little safe place, but she'll go in there for hours. I don't know how she does it, but she loves it. But if that's you, you got to push through stuff like that. So Jennifer, that on the show, we've got lots of aspiring multifamily investors. And gosh, guys, if you're listening, there is no greater time to get into this business. And right now, opportunity is coming. It's here. And, if you haven't signed up for my virtual boot camp, what are you thinking? Get your butt there. If the price is over 97, DM me on any social channel and I'll make sure you get that price. But get up to speed immediately if multifamily is going to be your vehicle. But what words of wisdom would you share, Jennifer, with, the people that haven't done anything yet, that haven't pulled the trigger on getting started in this or any business, even if it's not multifamily, if it could be single family, could be buying businesses, could be stock market trading. I wouldn't suggest crypto right now with what's happening with FTX, whatever. But whatever it is, there will be opportunity in so many different genres. And so, but for the person that's on the sidelines, speak to that person, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing anyone can do for themselves is just to take action, make a phone call, reach out to somebody. And every single day, if you just take action on one or two little things, you're going to start to see the needle move in the right direction, the direction you're wanting to go. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. And you just have to know that it will come if you continue to take massive action. I mean, you don't even have to take massive action, just take action, right? And pretty soon you start to push that snowball, right? Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And eventually that snowball will be rolling downhill as well.
That's right.
And we all know what happens there. But listen, if you want our help with this and you want to inquire into our incredible warrior program, I think our warriors are upwards of 110,000 units now. And I've only been teaching 5 years, which is one of my greatest gifts to know that impact. But if you're interested in applying to be a warrior, text the word crush to 72345 and we'll set up a call. And I will tell you, and again, even if we don't agree that you're a fit or you don't think we're a fit, you're going to get a lot of benefit just from the phone call itself. So again, if you want to apply, text the word crush to 72345 and let's see if we're a fit for each other. But anyway, so Jennifer, you've been with me a while, and if you could go back and tell the younger version of yourself something, I like to ask this question from time to time, what might you tell yourself? What might you do differently? Answer it any way you like.
Well, I love this question because you and I had a call. It was about 5 years ago. Well, not quite that long, but 4 years ago. And I said, Rod, I am so old to just now be finding multifamily. And you laughed at me. And I look back now and I think, man, I'm so young. I am so thankful I have found multifamily that I've got a good 20 years ahead of me to blow the lid off of this thing. And so what would I tell myself back then? I think I'd laugh at myself and say, get over it much quicker, right? It doesn't matter what age you find real estate. The fact is you found it. Now take massive action, go do something with that knowledge, dive in deep, listen to Rod over and over and over. He gives so much wisdom and he gives so much of it for free. It's just crazy how much you give for free.
No,
and
thank you.
yeah, so I would just say, don't let your age be a limiting factor. Don't let anything that you think is a limiting factor inhibit you from taking massive action.
Well, I know you've had.
Hold on one second. I got to
Yeah.
respond to what she just said because if you guys haven't heard me talk about limiting beliefs, we all have them. Okay, and I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not smart enough. Another one of mine was I'm not analytical enough, or I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And guys, there's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS. Because 99.9% of them they're just that, they're BS. They're just stories we tell ourselves so we don't take action. And all I can tell you, if you hear yourself, telling yourself this, one of these stories, just look at where you are. And if you're not freaking thrilled with your life, don't be in the same place a year from now that you are right now. That's all I want to tell you. Okay. Push through that fear and limiting beliefs. And the goal setting will really help you with that because you've got to create the burning desire. So again, if you want to have me guide you through a goal setting process, go to rodslinks.com. There'll be a new one after January 1st, but the other one is there and it'll be pretty much the same. So that will help you push through those fear and those limiting beliefs to grind for a few years like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. You just got to go do it.
Well, this is a perfect segue because one of those limiting beliefs that I've been hearing a lot lately is, I want to wait until the market keeps going down or it's closer to the bottom, right? People want to use these excuses, and wait until they try and time the bottom perfectly or whatever they want to do, right? Jennifer, a perfect example, you bought a deal closed on today. And obviously the reality is if a deal pencils out, who cares where the market is? But just for the listeners, tell us a little bit more about that deal. What's the play on it? Why did you buy it now? What are you going to do to it in the future? Just tell us a little bit about that deal.
Great.
Yeah. So it's a 79 unit townhome complex in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, which is a suburb of Charleston. It's a Class A area with a B class asset. And so we found this asset with somebody that has boots in the ground that lives right there. That's part of the Warrior program.
Wow.
And we plan to go in there. We see a huge upside because there's no homes for sale in this market. And any home that comes to the market is 600,000 plus. And so that takes a lot of home ownership off the table for a lot of different individuals.
What did you pay per unit, Jennifer?
Oh gosh, 213,000.
Yeah. So guys, what we always want to see, and I don't want you to continue your story, is we always want to see a disparity between the price you pay per unit and the median home price for sale. Because if they're close together, they'll buy instead of rent. So you want to see a big disparity there, but please continue.
Yeah. So our plan is to go in there. The rents are only $1,700.
Wow.
And we have a huge upside. Yeah. We could go as high as 3,200 for those units. Yeah. So
Wow.
we have a recourse debt, but it's fixed. It's fixed. And we feel so sure about this asset that we're okay holding a recourse note for a few years until the market corrects. And I don't know how much better it'll get than what we're currently paying for our fixed interest, because we're sitting right at, I think we're sitting right at 6.5 is what we ended up at. But if you compare it to a few years ago, that's what we were all paying a few years ago. We just got really, really
spoiled.
Yes, we got very, very spoiled in the last few years.
Let me talk about interest rates for 1 second, and then I want to talk about recourse. But guys, when I started in this business 44 years ago, interest rates were at 18%. Okay, and I remember getting excited doing backflips when they hit 7%. So if you're freaking out about the interest rates, guys, it's all numbers. The numbers have to make sense. And there are deals right now. We just closed on a huge asset in Nashville, as you may know if you've listened to me. But if you don't know what she means by recourse debt, there's recourse and there's non-recourse. If they foreclose on your property and you get non-recourse debt, then all they will take is the property. If you get recourse debt, they can come after you personally. And so you want to be careful with that. But this deal, if there's that much disparity in the rental, the pricing, I mean, you're golden, okay? And if the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. And even I will sign on recourse debt, even though I had my butt handed to me with some of that in 2008 and 9. If the numbers are there, the numbers are there. So and I love townhouse units as well, because people love it when there's no one living above or below them. So that is much more desirable than a typical garden level apartment. Anything else to add on that deal?
No, we're right around the corner from Whole Foods and REI and Starbucks and, some of the
Nice.
Lululemon. So that's exactly where you want to be, right?
Yeah. Love it. So, well, listen, I know you've added tremendous value today. What's next? Now you're going to start your podcast to start building a little bit of reach. So make sure you look up Jennifer Barner, Barner on iTunes here. I'd probably wait about 60 days. She'll be up and running then to see what the name of her podcast is. But you can tell from her beautiful energy, it'll be a very enjoyable experience. I tell me what your driver is. What's your why, Jennifer? Well, let's end with that. Why are you so driven? I know you've got a family and everything, but speak to that for a moment. Yeah. And just to correct you slightly, my podcast is already up and running. I think I'm on episode 20, but I may have to change the name so people can find it easier. So right now it's Lighthouse Ventures? Lighthouse Ventures, where we're building wealth together. Okay. Love it. Yeah. All right. I had suggested, I didn't know you were going to call it out here. I suggested that she consider a different name to create more reach. And so she's thinking about doing that. So that's exciting. I'm very, very excited for you, and I'll make sure and come on and see what I can do to help with an episode as well in the very near future. Love it. Yeah. So my why. Your why. That's right. I knew there was a question in there somewhere. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you asked me my why. My why has been, I grew up with parents that were from the Great Depression, and I never could purchase anything unless it was a need in my life. Mm-hmm. And my dad's response was always, well, is that a need? And I just got to this point where I was raising my 4 children and I was saying the same thing to them. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm living a life of scarcity. My entire life has been one of scarcity. And at some point I look around, I'm like, our life is way bigger than I ever envisioned. And after listening to you, I realized there's so much more, and there's so many more people I can bless by getting into real estate. And so my why is first and foremost my family, right? I want to be able to unleash, the strongholds that have been on our family for a long time, but it's way bigger than that. I want to lead other people to financial freedom too. I just see so much mental health and issues with people that feel like they have to show up at a job that they hate, and they took it because of pressures from their own family that said, hey, you're no good unless you're a lawyer or a doctor or, a bioengineer, right? And, I see people that have health issues as a result. And so for me, my thing is, hey, let me help you find another path to financial freedom. And this would be passive investing in deals, in deals that you do. Right? Love it. I'll tell you a funny story. My dad also grew up through the Depression, and he's gone now. He passed when he was 90 a couple of years ago. But he told me a story that I asked him, what was that like? And he said, and he started to tell a story where he had found this horse when he was a kid. He was like, 8, 9 years old. He found this horse and he brought it back to their farm, and and said, can we keep it? And his parents said, no, we can't afford to feed it. And when he was telling me the story, he actually started tearing. He started crying. I'm like, and he's like, wow, I can't believe that there's still emotion attached to that experience from the Depression. But boy, my mom, you went through World War II, and she was like that too. If we don't need, it's not a want, it's a need if you're going to get something. And she used to tell me stories about picking up coal where the trains turned and went around a corner so they could heat their home in World War II. So, when you grow up with that, it's and so my hat's off to you, Jennifer, because it's very hard to change that cycle with your children and instead of living in scarcity, living in abundance, because there's abundance everywhere. There's more than it will ever need. When you realize that, it really takes the lid off everything and opens you up. But such a treat to see you today, Jennifer. Appreciate you. And I'm sure I'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Mark, take care, buddy.
Thanks,
see you
guys.
guys later. All right. Thanks.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text the word crush to 72345 and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. Again, to apply, text crush to 72345.